I'd like to call our meeting to order, and I apologize for our 15 minutes over, but we were talking about some important stuff. We're glad you're here. We welcome you all. We appreciate our staff. I know that you've gotten a rolling start to the new year. Hope all your students are, for my teachers out there, I hope your students are all behaving well and just happy to be back in school. It is this time I'm going to ask Mr. Lovelace to have our invocation.
For those who will, please bow your heads. Father God, this is a time of year that marks a new beginning for our students, teachers, and staff, a time of renewal of the kindred spirit of togetherness and the hope that learning new things brings. Give us the will to rejuvenate, to throw off habits that are not good for us, to relearn forgotten lessons and develop rigorous study habits anew. Challenge us to reflect on where we have been, to get out of our comfort zones and to reach new heights, for we are better than before. Let us do all these things in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Lovelace. We appreciate that. And now our school board spotlight.
Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Ross, good evening. It's nice to be back in school so I can bring you spotlights again.
Yay.
But even though we were out for the summer, we did still have some exciting things happen. We found out over the summer that 3 Chapin area students placed in the National Career Development Association's Poetry and Art Contest. You heard me, I said national. This was a national award.
Cool.
So we are super proud of these kids and their accomplishments. Allie Wetmore of Chapin High School placed first in the high school art competition. Aiden Stam of Chapin High School placed second in high school poetry competition. And Mallory Green of Chapin Middle School placed first in the middle school art competition. So they placed nationally and they placed well. So we're excited for them, and I'm super excited that Allie Wetmore is able to be with us tonight. So Allie, come up and be recognized really quick. No, ma'am. I did want to tell you too and report that we had a very good first week of school. We saw lots of smiling faces from our administrators, teachers, and students. And I wanted to give a special thank you to Principal Kelly Reese from Lake Murray Elementary School. She was a good sport and agreed to rise and shine with me on the first day of school and met me and WIS TV in the car line at Lake Murray Elementary. 6:30 on the first day of school, she was camera ready on TV live. So she got a gold star that day, and I'm so grateful to her and her team at Lake Murray Elementary. And at this time, we put together just a very brief video of our first week of school that I want to share with y'all, and I hope you enjoy it.
I am feeling so excited. There's a buzz in the air. There's excitement with school supplies, and people are waving to new friends and meeting new friends. And I'm excited to share all the new books that we're going to read and all the fun things that we're going to do. But the most exciting thing is that this week we're going to spend a lot of time creating relationships and getting to know each other. And I'm going to establish my classroom culture so everyone feels comfortable and we're ready to learn.
It's an exciting time. There's a lot of work to be done, but man, the kids are happy, everybody's smiling, a lot of good energy, a lot of positive vibes. We're excited to get it rolling. We're excited to get it rolling, and we're going to build something great.
A little nervous, a little excited. Is excited to see all the students back, excited to meet the new students that we have here at Irmo Middle, so it's going to be a good day.
When the children come back, that brings the energy back into the school. It is the payoff for everything that our educators have put in to get their classrooms ready, to get the school ready. The system is just so excited when our children walk through those front doors and enter our classrooms for the first time.
Our teachers have been in professional development all summer. Administrators have been in professional development and planning all summer long. So this is really an opportunity to really remind us of why we do what we do, to see those smiling faces coming in and to see just the ease of transition and the first day, how well it went. This is an opportunity for us to celebrate just all the work that we do, and just to know that our teachers are the best of the best, and they have put in the work that's necessary for us to make sure that we're loving and growing our students.
Thank you. That was great. Since we're talking about Spotlight, I have two things I just love to brag about District 5. I got a call from, I told Dr. Ross this, from an NBC New York reporter, not our local news, and they had read about Irmo High School's First Jobs program and was very impressed with it and had wanted to ask me questions about it. And I got another call today for more information. So they just thought that it was very innovative. It was a way to keep kids in school and high school to see, light at the end of the tunnel, make money, learn a profession, come out job ready. And as Dr. Ross says, it shows dignity in work. And we're just excited that we've been nationally recognized, and now I don't know what they'll do with the story, but I was really excited, and I wanted to give that shout out to Dr. Ross and to Irmo High School and to all of our district workers that have made that happen. And I hope to see it grow. And the other thing, just on a personal note, shout out to Valentine Elementary. We got to school the other morning, all us teachers, and we couldn't get in the building because a dump truck had hit the transformer. So we had to call school off for the day. So all the teachers, after the kids were home, we got to go home at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I visited some of our schools that I never get to do because I'm in school. And several of the schools I went to, I just was so excited about how excited the kids were, how beautiful the schools looked. And I just went to several elementary schools. But I was just shouting out for that because it was a good thing for me. Because we are, and some of you do visit schools, and I appreciate that, but some of us don't get to because we have a work day, unless you have children there. But I just want to say, I think that, we are being recognized nationally for some of the programs that you have initiated. And then can I do one more shout out to Dr. Turner over there? What's that percentage, Dr. Turner, of our teachers that we've got filled?
99.16% fill rate.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. Because if you look around the country, around the state, around the Midlands, we're kicking it. You're great. Thank you. All right, I just had to brag on us. Now it's your turn. Superintendent's report.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, members of the board, and our community. We're really excited as Matt Gams, principal of River Springs, said in that wonderfully put together report, when the students return, the energy returns to the building. It's nothing like the energy of that first day and bringing our students back. We're really excited. Thank you for the recognition of first jobs. We were really excited to let Dr. Turner know that she may be interviewing with Lester Holt. And so she's really excited for that interview to pan out. But we thank you for that recognition and the hard work of our team, our teachers, our administrators to put back as they welcome the children of our community into our schools. And it was June 23rd, 2021, where I laid out a plan to the board, entry plan, and that entry plan began with how do we create a system. And I told you at that day that it was going to begin with this entry plan of establishing a vision, a mission, and outcomes and feedback loops to feed this system. This year or the past year, we worked very hard to create a vision, not that came from one person, but came from our entire school district. Remember, over 990 teachers and staff contributed to determining that this was our vision, a community vision of why they want to work in School District 5. And as we coded those responses, overwhelmingly, over 83% of the respondents said they want to love their students and grow their students, and that's why they work in our district. We have a district committed to loving the agape love of all students and growing our students. We established through the strategic planning process a mission statement that looks to be focused on academic, social, and emotional growth and development. And we use this whole child continuum as a way to ensure that that mission can be protected from the various threats that we have, various distractions that come in, that we want to protect the mission, protect our children so that they can all be successful. As we move to the second part of this entry plan that I provided, it is to move on parts 3. Now we have a mission and a vision. It's to work on some of our action plans, and that action plan came from the 2016 Advanced Ed recommendations. So we don't want to forget that. We want to go back to those recommendations. The 3 recommendations that the Advanced Ed, now Cognia, had recommended that we review were data literacy, updating grading policies, and ensuring that all students were college and career ready. And so as we look at our data literacy, we've made a lot of headway here, and we're going to continue that work throughout the year. And so you will be hearing more from us on how do we keep this, create a student dashboard to measure student progress. Our teachers are working in professional learning communities where they team up together and they work on strategies to help these students. You will know that our state, statistics say that 2/3 of our students are not in the state of South Carolina are not reading on grade level. To have a chance at life, you have to be literate. You have to be on grade level. Literacy is life, and we want to make sure that we're constantly having our eye on that by looking at the right data. And so there's a lot of information out there, but we want to be informed. The other thing is ensuring alignment on vertical and horizontal grading practices, and then understanding what goes into that. If you're a teacher, you understand that we've had full-point scales and points and 100% scales. We know that in 2016, the state of South Carolina adopted the uniform grading policy, which moved us to these 10-point increments between the A, B, C, and D. But when you get to the F, you have a 50-point increment on the 100% scale. So we're going to be talking throughout the year about how that transition looks for alignment. I'm personally in favor of the 5-point scale, but I know this has a lot of discussion that needs to take place, and so we engage our community as we go through these. And then the last piece, which you've highlighted in terms of first jobs, is that college and career readiness, dignity in all work. My role model was my grandfather. He was a school custodian. and he took pride in his work, his dress, and his work. He would say, I put my name on those floors. And there's dignity in every single position that we have here. And we have our students who have to fill that entire range of positions. And so what we would be looking for is this board to support us as we look to take a deliberate action to fill what's called these middle skill positions. When you look at the jobs versus the skilled workers in the state of South Carolina, the Midlands Education Business Alliance does a great job of highlighting where we need our workforce. And those middle skill positions, where 51% of the jobs are, but only 29% of the workforce or the skilled workers, we know we need to fill that void. So what we would like to do is to establish a partnership with Midlands Technical College to provide college and career dual credit positions. Dual credit. So they receive college courses for taking career and technical education classes. We would like to establish this at the Harbison campus. So we will be bringing you a proposal for your approval to enter into a partnership with Midlands Technical College for almost a job school for advanced manufacturing and construction. We will meet with, we have a task force, Ms. Miller has worked with her team, and we're going to ask that Mr. Wiseman join us for transportation items, but to ensure that we have this job school in our community that will allow us to provide these dual credit certifications to our students. Our proposal would be that we continue to use the center. In the center, we will serve Chapin and Spring Hill students. And then at the Harbison campus, we would serve the Dutch Fork and Irmo students. And that way, we don't jeopardize any of the existing programs at the center, but we can build capacity for that cohort that would truly benefit for this job school.
Can I ask you a question there?
Yes.
I know I'm supposed to wait till the end, but I
That's
might
fine.
forget. I was part of the board when we started the middle college. How is your program different than the middle college? Because that was where they took courses and it counted toward tech.
College.
Right.
Do you come to tech or academic?
Yeah, I thought it counted there, but Ms. Miller, tell me how it's different.
It depends on the course. With the middle college, I think the idea was more getting credits towards your associate's degree, and that would count for that, like an English 101
Right.
or a psychology
Right.
101.
Okay.
So that would be more the academics and not the career, and this is more
I
focused
gotcha.
on the careers.
Thank you. And we'd still have the middle college.
So we would still have dual enrollment that we have through, I think, how many institutions right now?
We do teacher cadet and some other courses. I know Midlands Tech is our primary one, but we do have a couple of others.
It's been helpful to students, even getting started their freshman year, even if they're just going to go to a 2-year school.
And that's the goal, and we will hear more as we talk about potential Associates of Arts programs, but this is
career.
This is career, and it also works towards certification, so that these students can come out job ready. So, again, this is a genesis moving off of that 2016 recommendation from Advanced Ed, now Cognia, and so as we move along in that planning process, we just want you to be along with us and give us your feedback as we develop this plan. And we're going to ask Mr. Wiseman to come forth. I've tasked him with looking at a strategic maintenance program for our facilities. So he has the objective to look at how do we prioritize our capital funding. That's that $15 million of annual funds to take care of 3.8 million total square facilities and square footage of our facilities. So I want to thank Mr. Wiseman for showing us how it's going to be done.
You make it sound easy, sir. Madam Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Ross, members of the community, thank you for having me up here. Dr. Ross has given me a challenge that I fully accept. And some of the things I just want to bring to your attention that we're going to be looking at is, of course, the life safety code that we're presenting to the schools, looking at different things from fire alarm sprinklers to egress systems. I'll talk in a minute about the exterior doors, but we have to make sure that the doors from the inside are easy to get out in case there's an issue inside the school. So we're going to be going around to every school, doing an assessment, understanding what it takes for the fire alarms and sprinkler systems, as you heard earlier, marrying different schools into those systems and looking at the older systems and looking at their life cycle and seeing what else we need to do. We have an RFP out that's looking at someone looking at our sprinkler systems, understanding their functions and going from there and making recommendations for that. So again, the egress systems, as you know, there are 1,345 exterior doors inside the district. The other thing we're looking at is Americans with Disabilities Act. We're looking to make sure that our schools are in compliance with ADA. Some of the recommendations that we've already had from last year's assessments with the schools, we already have on our list of projects to do based on your approval on the last capital money. So we're going to be looking at getting those started. We have some quotes we need to look at a little bit more in detail and then make a recommendation and select a bidder. So we're working on that. Safety and security measures. We talk about the egress of the doors. We also want to talk about making sure that the doors cannot be entered into from the outside. So when you look at a door, I look at it in two ways, from the inside and from the outside. So I have to make sure that, one, I have sensors on the doors to make sure they're closed, but I have to have functioning locks to make sure that they can't be open. Last year they started a procedure where we're controlling the number of exterior door keys, so we don't have them floating around, making sure we have a good understanding who has them, and only authorize certain people to have those type of keys. So we're digging deeper into that in conjunction with our safety team, with the other products that we got working on, through them. Utilities, that's just an overall concept of what we do. If you look at the number of fountains in a school, number of toilets, number of sinks, that's just a lot of plumbing. As well as a lot of water. So we're looking at how we can improve that. There are some issues that we want to say there's a school that we know that we want to upgrade some of their plumbing in. How are we going to do that? How are we going to budget cycle that? Who goes first and who goes after that? So we're going to dig deep into our work order system and understand what we have out there so we can figure out a better plan to work with it. I won't go through all of those, but waste and disposal, there's also a recycling plan that we have that we want to look at and make sure that we're still recycling accordingly. When you look at operation necessities, this is one of the things, and I know you met Alan Knotts earlier. Alan, he's right there. He's our new director of facilities. So we sit down and looked at a number of different things. When you look across the board, and of course summertimes HVACs are more important than some of the other things, we have 3,700 units sitting on the roofs of our school district. And we got about 4 people that function those, keep those things up and running. We're looking at, we had a contract, we're going to go back and relook at that and make sure we've got a good quality company, see what we can do, maybe have an on and off cycle peak and bring them in May, hit the air conditioning units May, June, and July, so that August we have more functioning units than we have unfunctioning units. So we're going through that process and identifying the age of the HVACs, the schools. If you haven't been into Dutch Fork Elementary, I recommend you go in there and look at their HVAC. I walked through there the first couple of days of school, and the teachers are comfortable, and it's bright. It's a big transition from what it used to be. So we're very proud of that. Speaking of the lighting, going back and looking at other schools, how we can upgrade the lighting. So if you were at the assembly on last Friday, you saw how bright the gym was. It does make a difference. Things pop out, but it also identifies things that we still have to work on. IT and equipment. I know Jenny's here somewhere. She's hiding. But we're looking at, if you think about it, at any one time on our servers, we got 20,000 people possibly on a server unit or our network within the school district. That's a lot of folks. She does a great job getting those programs up and running, keeping them running. We're going through the numbers and looking at how many servers we have, how many camera systems we have. She's come up with a proposal of, although we have more cameras, can we do more views or better views with less cameras? So you have one camera system that might have 3 eyes on it. You know, the cost goes down, but you still have the coverage that you're looking for. So we're going through that process and looking at. We already have a 20-year plan on roofing that Alan hasn't had a chance to look at, but we're going to identify, you know, what the next roofing is. Right now we're doing Crossroads. We do have a 20-year plan that will come back with some estimates and determine how much of, you know, capital money we're going to need to continue forward with that. Grounds and athletic fields, that's an ongoing issue. You know, I talked to a gentleman in the community that was concerned about the growth of a field, and I just asked him, I said, well, you know, in some cases during the summer we might want to cut it short and let it, in a sense, die off. And because we're not on the ground, we're not having kids on there, and then let it grow back to kind of save some money on those. So we're looking at some of the unusual ways that we can look at landscaping. We have over 780 acres of land that we're responsible for. So how can we use our maintenance crews or our grounds crew, you know, peak them out again right before school starts, season dies off in October, maybe use them for some additional pruning and tree trimming, and look at how best we can use that. And then when you look at right now, based on day 2, we figured based on that day average, we're serving over 2 million meals a year. So Dr. Ross has promised me my own McDonald's sign, so I can say 2 million served, and I'm going to hold you to that. And a couple of the other things I don't want to overlook is it's just the overall food service staff, the kitchens that we maintain, and of course transportation. And you know, the first day of school, I was out on the roads looking for buses, and it was a wonderful sight. I can't leave that behind. So pending your questions, we are looking at all of those areas and seeing how we can improve them and how we can come back with you with a reasonable budget and look for improvement across the district.
Thank you so much. Any questions? I had one, but I want you to have them first. Mr. Lovelace?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you on air conditioning. Okay, those, I'm hearing that there are like 12 buildings that we desperately need to look at, okay? And I was wondering, what is our program to replace, and you may not know this being brand new in, but is our program to replace all the units every 12 years, or?
We have some units right now that are 15 to 17 years old. Those
Right.
are the ones we're going to identify first. What kind of life cycle that we're looking at is right now we haven't determined that. I think something along, when you look at your air conditioner in your house, you know, mine seems to go out every 10 years. I'm buying something for it. That might be a little bit short on a commercial property or piece of equipment, so we could probably expand that to about 15 years. I think that's a kind of a good starting point, and Alan's an electrical engineer, so life cycle on HVACs.
So we're going to be looking at least 15 years trying to get every HVAC unit replaced, you know, at the 15-year marker. If the OEM says, hey, listen, you know, this piece of equipment here is going to last us 20 years, we're going to go off the manufacturer's recommendations. So typically anywhere from 12 to 15 years is what I've typically seen in the past.
So we looked at, and you just mentioned 2 of the schools that we did the guaranteed energy savings contracting, and that's going to give us a return on investment because we have done the things that the contractor suggested, and they're going to guarantee us a certain, you know, return on our power bills and so forth. Is there any way that we could take our entire fleet of these air conditioning units and so forth and look at contracting with an entity that would come in and replace them on an as-needed basis up to 12 to 15 years so that we could eventually, you know, come back to a return on investment, because there's huge savings involved in that. I think we looked at LED lighting at one point, and there was like 36% return on investment that we could get from changing out our old T8 fixtures and things like that to LED. So, you know, could we look into that kind of thing and see if there's any kind of program out there that we could qualify for?
Yes, sir. We can do that. From, you know, in my history, there are companies that we could partner with to keep equipment up operational. It's just one flat rate. But to go through and do a one-for-one exchange after a certain amount of time, I mean, we can definitely look to see if there are companies out there that would like to partner with us to do that.
I mean, I think we need to get away from the plug and chug. In other words, just taking units off and putting the same one back up there. If we need to look at newer type, equipment or newer type air conditioning ideas, that would save us and give us better air quality too, because that's something that drove us to looking at the Guaranteed Energy Savings Contract, because we knew that we could use ESSER funds, for example, to give us better air quality in certain ones of these facilities where they didn't have good air quality. So
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, could we put ourselves up on the level 2.0 or 3.0, since we're brand new and we're getting off at a at a good level, and that's what I was hoping we could do.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? I had one for Mr. Wiseman. You know how we have keys now for every teacher's door?
Yes, ma'am.
There's some of the keys that are not working for some of them. I don't know whether that's just one school, but when I visited, in other words, they have the key, but it didn't always work. So I didn't know whether we just maybe can just check into that, or, just call different principals.
Well, what I've asked the principals to do a number of times is to put in work orders so we can track it. We've got a couple guys that are key experts that we send around. So right now we have two that can go around and make adjustments to the keys, so that's easy to do. We're also looking at some of the security issues for some of the kindergarten areas for exterior doors and how best to serve them. So yes,
Right,
ma'am.
and I know that with the new safety protocols, I know some of this is new for some of the schools. I think some of the schools had been locking doors anyway, but now it's the
You come back to school and you see things that you didn't see right when you left school, and things are brought to your attention. So they're focusing on security, which is a good thing.
It is. That's what I
I just got to
wanted
be
to
able
tell
to
you.
keep up with their needs, and more importantly, I got to track it so I can make sure that my folks are working up to that.
I just
requirement.
promised to ask that question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, thank you.
Okay.
No other questions. That was great. That was good superintendent's report.
I have one for Dr. Ross.
All right.
Okay, Dr. Ross, when we're talking about the dual credit Harbison Midlands Tech campus, okay, for Dutch Fork and Irmo, and I know that we've been working with them to try to get some sort of collaborative, you use the right word, approach to this. And so, and you were talking about advanced manufacturing and construction certificates, and I want to challenge us to look at things that are not, basically to look at what the market in the industries are needing, and then to target our programs more so to those rather than just your tried and true, occupations like carpentry and things like that, which we do need, but we need more advanced things like materials testing and those kind of things. One of the things that I know we could do, and we could do immediately, and I think we might be looking into it, is robotic surveying, where we can lay out a construction site from one setup and do it with robots. The Perkins funds that we get from those, are those large amounts of funds that we get for completers, or are they, in other words, how much is a Perkins fund completer? How much does that contribute back to our coffers?
I'm not prepared with the exact number, but Mr. Priggy, we can have here give a report on our update here to let us know. We do know, though, that the Perkins funds through their completer system is a huge avenue of funds for our district. And so having these completer systems built in, I think is going to be huge for us.
So I mean, somebody was telling me that the Perkins fund was about, for a completer was about $500. Is that too low, or?
Yeah, I don't want to guesstimate. I would have Mr. Priggy respond to us with that exact number.
So for the what happens there is we have to basically have our students go through the program and complete the certification. And once that happens, the federal government has funds to reimburse us for the cost and some of the cost, I suppose. Is that the way that works?
So, right, it is an incentive for school districts to make sure that there's pathways for students into CTE. And you'll see workforce development as a key term that you'll see used not only on the federal level, but on the state and local level. As we are talking about all of the what it takes to just manage our program, we need our own students to help us as HVAC techs. We need our own students to help us in food services, our own students to help us with roofing. So you can see right here from this slide just how important that workforce development is. Not only is it a win on the financial side, but it helps us back to have this type of skill set in our community. I would just want to say, one of the things that Mr. Wiseman is also, he's leaving transportation, doing all of operations. And I asked him, how many miles do we drive a day? And it's 1,900 miles a day times 180. You do the math. We drive to the moon and a quarter way back every year on buses that go 5 miles to the gallon. So we actually need maintenance in small, large diesel repair mechanics as well. So I think part of this job school is to help our district run. So we appreciate this. We'll be bringing back these proposals to you so that we can get your feedback along the way. And this is all towards the work of loving and growing our students. So thank you. That concludes the superintendent's report, and we stand for any questions.
Dr. Ross, I want to bring up something I know is important to teachers, and I've heard from so many of them on your grading practices under your. I'm happy to hear that you are going to, and I know Ms. Miller and I had a conversation. Right now, so that it's very clear, because we all had some questions that you may have gotten, how one school has a grading level and other, or ceiling it's called, and others don't. We allow, Ms. Miller, you correct me if I'm wrong, but we allow the individual school to decide on that. The only thing we did adopt as a school board or as policy, we follow the state recommendations of now a 60 to a 70 passes. And one of the reasons, and a lot of board members had angst about that because nobody thinks a 60 is a good grade. And I remember us discussing that was lowering the bar. And I'm sure parents and teachers maybe feel like that. But we were told at that time that Molly Spearman explained we were putting our kids at a disadvantage because to be graded a different way than other states would look like ours were not making the same grades for scholarships and that. So we have that. But I do think, I hear from a great number of teachers, Dr. Ross, and I'm glad to hear you say in your report that they do think we should look at that and we should have the same plan in every school. And right now we don't. So you are thinking about this 5 point, like you do in college, like you have a 5, or is a 4.0 being the perfect 5. So that may be a better way to do it. But I would just ask that you get lots of input from the teachers, input from parents, but really mainly teachers who have to be sure their child is prepared and they're saying that grade is a real grade. Because we know that there have been questions about inflated grades, and parents want their kids, they want to know their kid has learned. So I just, of all the things on here, everyone is very important, but I would like to know that's going to be something on your top, on the top burner.
Yes, ma'am. All of these, we will continue discussion throughout the year with the board and the community to keep them involved. As this is just an update on that entry plan. I would like to take a point of privilege just to thank our district and our communication team. Amanda Taylor led us in her first back-to-school rally at Irmo High School, and it was really good to have the entire district. Our motto, or theme this year is telling our story. So in the back, if you get a chance, you can look at the book cover that all of our schools and programs did of telling their story. So, again, really excited, great opening. And we have the #1 hype man in the state of South Carolina.
He was great.
And Stephen Puckett. So
It was great.
thank you so much.
We were glad all the board members made it to that. That was a fun day. To have everybody in there in one time is the most meaningful thing for District 5, because it takes all of us to tell the story and put it together, everybody. So with that, and it was really good, and that was your first one. See how good you did? Honey.